So today we are going to have our first discussion. As I told you that we will not be only discussing answer to the question, we will also discuss how to write answer. जो ज़्यादा important है, because when we see the question, we have web of information clouding us, and it becomes difficult for us to have a right beginning कि शुरू कहाँ से करना है. और वो शुरुआत बड़ी important होती है because the whole direction and the whole layout of your answer may get disturbed if your beginning is not very clear. So that is why first thing we should understand कि डिमांड को पकड़ते कैसे और ब्रेक कैसे करते हैं. Okay, which is the basic rule. So like the question that was given to you was, sociology emerged out of enlightenment and conservative reaction to enlightenment, right? I'll show you the model answer also, but first let us understand कि if I am a beginner, what should I ensure? When I see this question, I should first make a mind map. First step should be mind map. Okay. And mind map cannot be made without keywords. If I see the question, it is saying sociology emerged out of enlightenment and conservative reaction to enlightenment. That means our mind map would be something like this, because sociology emerged, though that means sociology is the effect. ये पैदा हो रहा है यानी कि ये consequence है, it is the consequence. Then what are the cause which led to this consequence called sociology? So cause are very clearly mentioned. These are the causes. Okay, so these two are cause, and this is consequence. And what comes first, cause or consequence? Cause comes first. तो माइंड मैप में क्या होगा हमारा? Enlightenment plus conservative reaction to enlightenment. Then we should have socio, cause, consequence. So this is our mind map. Very basic mind map, but it will actually help us have a good beginning. Okay. Now I can further go for cause effect in this E and CRE. Here cause is enlightenment and counter or conservative reaction to enlightenment is the consequence of the enlightenment. So this is again consequence and this is again cause. So now I finally got my right beginning. My beginning should be enlightenment. Did you get this point? Okay. So now, without bothering about demand, first thing that I should write is the cause of everything, which is enlightenment. Okay. Now I'll show you the model answer, and then we'll see how exactly we can approach. Okay. So, is it visible to you guys? Is my audio audible to you guys? Yes? Okay. Fine. So, as I told you, cause is enlightenment. So that is why I decided to begin with enlightenment directly, without writing any quote, any phrase, any thinker, any history, any narrative, any anecdote. सीधा मुद्दे की बात. आपको इसको ध्यान रखना है. Okay, especially when the question is 10 marker. Enlightenment को define करते हैं. It is a movement, okay, concerned with introduction of scientific, rational mode of governance, economy, and social life. Okay. For many of you who are not aware with what is enlightenment, मैं बहुत बेसिकली आपको बता देता हूँ. Enlightenment एक ऐसा मूवमेंट था यूरोप में जिसने गवर्नेंस कैसी होनी चाहिए, हाउ गवर्नेंस शुड बी लाइक, हाउ इकोनॉमी शुड बी लाइक, these are the things which were professed by, or I would say suggested by enlightenment scholars. And that is why in most of the writings of enlightenment scholars you would find most of them talking about change in governance, change in the way we choose our leaders, change in the way ruling class governs us, change in the way economy should function. Okay, so that is why I am saying that it is a movement concerned with introduction of scientific or rational mode of governance, economy and social life. Okay, very basic introduction. Now, since political and economic are two aspects which got shaped or changed by enlightenment scholars, that is why I have mentioned some of the important points introduced by enlightenment scholars in these respective components. Political field में social contract or general will, you just have to write them, you don't have to explain them. Remember this, when the question is 10 marker, you need not explain these words, you just have to throw them. Throw, literally throw आपको करना है. Okay, separation of power. At max what you can do is you can write the name of scholar in bracket, but even if you're not doing it, that is completely fine. But you must show the contribution of enlightenment period by throwing these keywords. Okay, since you have already defined, throw is enough. Contract, will, so general will. Okay, that means the will of majority, the concept of democracy. Separation of power. Okay, Montesquieu. Free speech, Voltaire. What is the new form of economy they are suggesting, or reforms in economy which they suggested? Adam Smith is one person who is very popular as an enlightenment intellectual. He suggested progressive taxation. That means the person who is rich should be taxed more. This was something that we today take for granted, but that at that point of time it was not there. That means this concept of progressive taxation is actually a rational way of thinking or rational way of taxing people, unlike the earlier way where third estate was taxed heavily, first and second were not taxed. Okay. Second thing which Adam Smith introduced is free market economy. That means state should not interfere in the economic operations of society. Earlier, state used to interfere. State would decide how much can be produced, what exactly, in what quantity can be produced or distributed, whether you can make profit or not, profit was sin or not, who can make and who cannot. These things were decided by state, which was governed by church. Smith is saying free the market from state. That market should run independently of state. Okay, what we call as laissez-faire economy. But you don't have to explain these things in the answer. Why am I explaining this? Because I want you to ensure that you understand the concepts and don't mug up. But in the answer, you don't have to explain. You just have to throw. Last is property rights to women. This was introduced by Mary Wollstonecraft. Okay, she was the proponent of gender equality and also called as one of the founding mothers of feminism. Not father, but mothers of feminism. Fine. So let us come to, since we have already described enlightenment, now that means this area is covered. Okay, यानी कि आपने आगे कुछ भी ना सोचे, सिर्फ डिफाइन किया और बता दिया what were the contributions. Okay, now what you should be doing is you should explain that what all changes, whatever we have read, 4, 5, 6 points, how those 6 affected society. Okay, you just have to show how those affected society. Why do you need to show this? Because there is a thing called conservative reaction to enlightenment. You can't show conservative reaction unless you show impact of enlightenment. कंजर्वेटिव मतलब हमें पसंद नहीं आए चेंजेस ये वाले, तो उसका इम्पैक्ट तो दिखाना पड़ेगा, तभी हम बताएंगे नापसंदी. सो impact of enlightenment, although it led to initiation of new social order, that means modern world, it broke down the existing social order. ये बात सच है. It is a fact that enlightenment did bring about new concepts, new mode of governance, new form of economy, but it also meant that it broke down the old form of governance, old form of economy, right? That is something that which I have mentioned. So what were the consequences of the breakdown of the old order? This was the consequence. Reign of terror happened. Many people did not like. People questioning the king, people questioning the church in the name of individual rights, in the name of secularism. So reign of terror happened. Those people actually, many of the people started executing kings. That was called as the period of reign of terror. That means initially terrorists were those people who brought revolution against king, monarch. And many people did not like this. But anyhow, we will write the impact. Reign of terror happened. Divorce rates increased due to enlightenment thinking, because individual rights are given importance, women are given importance, their rights, their property rights, their education rights, those things are given importance. So divorce are also increasing, divorce rates. Suicide rates are also increasing. Why suicide rates started increasing? Due to enlightenment. Because enlightenment talked about individual who is free to make choices, who is free to bring changes in his life. No religion can control the choices of individual. Now individual is free, but in his freedom, if he is trying his best in the name of merit, in the name of talent, and if he's still not getting it, that means there are unregulated desires, and when he is not able to fulfill it, he is committing suicide. He is starting looking at himself as loser. So when religion is no longer there, merit is there, modernity is there, that means there are huge opportunities, but individuals are not able to fulfill opportunities, then they are starting criticizing themselves, and they may even lose their lives. Suicide rates, crime rates are increasing because modern society is giving you plethora of opportunities. You can reap as much as you want, it all depends on your talent. So that way material interest among people are rising, crime rates are rising, industrial strikes are happening. Okay. So when people are migrating from rural areas to urban areas in the hope of having better opportunities, better life, but they don't find any working condition better than what they used to have in the rural areas. They are struggling to have leisure, they are struggling to find rest, they are struggling to find meaning in the work that they are doing. They are not able to find any meaning in the work because they are doing repeatedly, endlessly, simple, monotonous tasks. So, strikes are happening, anarchy is happening. That means people are questioning the present system. And weakened cohesion, basically, anomie जिसे कहता है Durkheim, if you remember this word. Okay, this is what is happening in the society. When society is collapsing and the new order is coming out, this in transition phase, you see this chaos. Okay, now this is what has been the impact of enlightenment. Okay, and that is why against these some conservative reaction is developing. Conservative reaction means reaction by those people who are not liking this change in society. They want to bring back the same social order which was religious, which kept our desires limited, which kept family in stable mode without women asking for property or education rights. and an order where we had king who could control people and people would simply obey him without talking about fundamental rights. So conservatives are those people who want the old order back. Isliye what I have mentioned is conservatism. First we should define it also. It is an ideology characterized by support for tradition, duty, religious order, patriarchy, state system. That means everything that was questioned, conservative people want all those things to get back. Okay. In the French conservatism developed in response to, because most of the people who expressed conservative reaction were French. That is why I'm using the word French conservatism. It developed in response to breakdown of social order, which broke down because of Enlightenment, and has origins in the writings of de Bonald, de Maistre, Auguste Comte, Edmund Burke, Durkheim. Remember, all of them are French. ये सब के सब French हैं. This conservativist thought led to emergence of French sociology. Okay, इसलिए आप French sociology के नाम पे हम क्या पढ़ते हैं? Structural functionalism. Structural functionalism is always going to talk about how institutions are functional. They should be there. If any change is happening, then anomy or chaos can happen. So they talk about functions of institutions. Okay. Anyhow, so two things I have explained: Enlightenment, its impact on society, and in reaction to this impact, conservative reaction is developing. Now we have checked this, we have checked this, and we have checked this. So 1 is done, 2 is done, 3 is done. Why did we explain 2? Because without explaining 2, 3 cannot be explained. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Now 1 is left. Consequence. Emergence of sociology. अब हमारा क्या होना चाहिए? Subheading should be emergence of sociology. So that means whatever you will write, that you will write in subheading. 1 was subheading, 2 was subheading, 3 was subheading, 4th would also be subheading. So that means आपके आंसर में एक फ्लो भी आ जाएगा. So emergence of sociology is the next subheading. Okay. Sociology has its origin in the dialectics of enlightenment and conservatism. यानी enlightenment और conservative का जो opposition है आपस में, उसी से पैदा हुआ है ये बच्चा जिसका नाम है sociology. और dialectics किस किस में हुआ है? enlightenment और conservatism में, hope में और hopelessness में, order में और disorder में, consensus में और conflict में, tradition में और modern में. इन फोर्सेस के बीच में लड़ाई का ही रिजल्ट है सोशियोलॉजी नाम का डिसिप्लिन, विच इज गोइंग टू स्टडी द फोर्स विच ब्रिंग चेंज एंड द फोर्स विच रेजिस्ट चेंज. सिंपल. एनी डाउट? The same model answer is shared with you. वो सर के आगे क्वेश्चन लगा रहा है, उसको लग रहा है मैं चले गया. अरे मैं यहीं पे हूँ. मतलब मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ. इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट यू कैन आस्क मी so that I can proceed to the next question. Can you summarize the क्या लिखा है आपने? विनीत. स्ट्रक्चर. अच्छा, समराइज द स्ट्रक्चर. विनीत यही तो बताया मैंने. व्हाट वाज द स्ट्रक्चर? सी, कंजर्वेटिव रिएक्शन, सॉरी, एनलाइटनमेंट. दिस शुड बी एक्सप्लेन्ड फर्स्ट. सेकंड शुड बी impact of enlightenment. Specifically you will be explaining negative impact, na? The negative impact. Only then you can talk about conservative reaction. Otherwise conservative reaction समझा ही नहीं पाएंगे without explaining the negative impact. Okay. क्योंकि जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूटिव एलिमेंट्स हैं जिसको हम पॉजिटिव बोलते हैं वो तो हम ऑलरेडी बता चुके हैं फर्स्ट स्टेप में, बट उसका कुछ अनइंटेंडेड कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस यानी फ्री स्पीच का अनइंटेंडेड कॉन्सिक्वेंस, जेंडर इक्वालिटी का अनइंटेंडेड कॉन्सिक्वेंस इज डिवोर्स रेट हाई, क्योंकि बोथ आर नाउ अर्निंग, देर इज नो मोर इंटरडिपेंडेंस, इंडिविजुअलिज्म। तो दैट मीन्स जो अनइंटेंडेड है उसको नेगेटिव बोला जा रहा है। ओके, एंड इसके रिस्पॉन्स में व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, सेकेंड पॉइंट, conservative reaction is coming out as a result of negative impact. And since you have explained 1, 2, 3, now the fourth is emergence of socio. That means your answer should consist of subheadings. कहने का मतलब ये है. And how can you decide what will be the subheadings? If you follow the same logic which I just talked about. When I read the question, I just tried to understand what is the possible mind map. Mind map क्या होगा? ये ट्रिक मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है, आपको जीएस में भी काम आएगी। अगर आप क्वेश्चन देख के माइंड मैप बनाओ तो आपको समझ आ जाएगा शुरुआत का पॉइंट क्या होगा और लेके कहाँ जाना है। तो स्ट्रक्चर में तो कभी इशू आपको नहीं आएगा। ओके, और ध्यान रखना है आपका स्ट्रक्चर तभी अच्छा होगा, यू विल हैव अ गुड स्ट्रक्चर इफ यू हैव गुड हैबिट ऑफ राइटिंग सब हेडिंग्स, अदरवाइज योर स्ट्रक्चर विल नॉट बी सो विजिबल टू द एग्जामिनर, वो आपके दिमाग में ही रह जाएगा फिर। ओके, शुड आई प्रोसीड टू नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन? Yes, got it, sir. In my answer, I explained what is sociology and unnecessary things. Yes, now you understand what is unnecessary. That is also a kind of progress. See, this is how we will start progressing. Because unless we discuss, we will never come to know what is unnecessary that we are writing. Okay, now you know what is unnecessary, and now you can avoid the same next time. Now, let us come to second question. Second question क्या है? It is about a concept called as sociological imagination, okay, which enables us to study personal troubles as public issue. इस statement का मतलब क्या है? What does it imply? Again, we will make mind map. ये एक्सरसाइज रोज करते जाएंगे हम, माइंड मैप बनाना है। ये क्या कह रहा है? ये कह रहा है सोशियोलॉजिकल इमेजिनेशन, पता नहीं क्या होता है। ओके, ए enables us to study personal troubles. I'm highlighting only keywords. Okay. B, as public issues. C, I can find 3 keywords in the question. Okay. So first step complete, identification of keywords. Okay. Second step, identify master keyword or make mind map. So I have identified keywords. There are 3. Okay. Now second is identify master keyword or make mind map. Mind map बना के देखते हैं क्योंकि I don't know what is master keyword here. Okay. All the 3 are very new to me. So what should I do? I will make a mind map. Now see, mind map will be like this. See, sociological imagination enables us to study personal troubles as public issue. That means if you start looking at personal trouble with the help of sociological imagination, it will help you understand that they are not really personal trouble, they are actually public issue. कुछ ऐसा कहने की कोशिश कर रहा है वो. So what should I do? Since this is the central framework, because this is enabling me to study this as this, so this can be the master keyword. Okay, so I will start with the definition of sociological imagination first. Okay. Before I explain you the definition, I will make you understand this concept. Okay, what is this concept? Okay, this is a PYQ only, UPSC PYQ. See, suppose people lose jobs during COVID. Okay, now you need to understand the broader reason for the joblessness or people losing jobs. You cannot blame individuals who are losing jobs. You have to understand the broader reason for them to lose jobs. When lockdown was imposed, companies were engaged in cost cutting measures, and due to cost cutting measures, companies laid out many workers. So if workers are losing jobs, is it because of their individual reasons, or it is because of structural issue in society, which is cost cutting measures as a result of recessionary economy? So that means you just right now tried to understand an issue what seems to be personal to some individuals as a public issue, and you tried to find out bigger, broader structural reasons causing those seemingly personal troubles. Let me give you some more example. Suppose one person commits suicide, you will blame him. Two-person committing suicide, you will blame them. Three committing suicide, you will again blame them. But if you see every day 100 people are committing suicide, will you blame all 100 every day? You cannot. Something is wrong within society that almost every day, almost 100 are committing suicide per day. Okay, so that means you should, as a sociologist, try to understand the bigger, broader structural factors causing people to commit suicide, which seems to be personal trouble but is not. Okay. Similarly, if one couple gets divorced, you will blame them. Two, you will again blame them. Three couple, again you will blame them. Four, five, six. If every year divorce rate is increasing, will you keep blaming those couples who are getting divorced? You need to understand the broader structural macro factors causing people to not stay together anymore. This quality of mind is called as sociological imagination. I hope you're getting my point. Okay, what is sociological imagination? The quality of mind to understand the bigger reasons for what seems to be individual troubles. So first we will define it. So we will write it is a quality of mind which enables one to explain or find broad social factors shaping individuals' lifestyle. तो जो मैंने अभी आपको बोला मैंने उसी चीज को लिख दिया एज अ डेफिनेशन. ओके. It is a quality of mind which enables you to explain or find broad social factors shaping individuals' lifestyle. Right? Now, we should remember concept was coined by C.W. Mills. Okay. That means it is not a general thing or general word. It is not that imagining something sociologically is sociological imagination. No. You need to explain what imagining something sociologically really means, because that is what the question is. Okay. So, for that, we should also know that it is a concept proper given by, it is coined by C.W. Mills, who is an American sociologist. He coined this concept. Why did he coin this concept? Because he believed, after studying Marx, Durkheim, Max Weber, George Simmel, he finally figured out that what is one common thing among all the sociologists is that all of them talk about the broader social factors which is causing change in the lifestyle of individual. None of them talk about intention of individual. Most of them are talking about the broader social factors causing individuals lifestyle to get changed. Okay. So now what we should do, since we have defined one master keyword, now we should very briefly define other keywords also in the question. The other keywords were personal trouble and public issue. So we will say personal trouble. Now I'm coming back to model answer. Okay. See, what is personal trouble? It refers to suffering or choice concerning individual. Anything is a personal trouble unless you understand the broad reasons causing it. Otherwise, everything seems to be personal trouble. If one of my friend is committing suicide, I will call it personal trouble. If one of my friend committed or went for or decided to go for divorce, I will again call it personal trouble. So that means personal trouble का मतलब क्या होता है? Suffering of individual. Okay. But sociologists क्या करते हैं? वो बोलते हैं what is happening to one individual is not limited to one individual. It is happening to many. You need to find pattern. Why it is happening to, if not all, at least to few among many. You need to understand that. And for that, you need to find the social factors causing those individuals to go for divorce or suicide or something like this. Okay. So what is public issue? It refers to suffering or choice affecting masses. That means sociologists would treat personal trouble as public issue. He would not limit the major anomalies to individuals. He would assume that as affecting the masses, and then he would only find the broader reasons. Now, what should be the task? The task should be to explain with examples, because we have to explain what does it imply, and we can't show it without writing examples. So I have mentioned as a connecting point that sociological imagination requires us to treat personal trouble as public issue and look for broader factor. Almost same thing. Now I'll talk about examples. I'll write what are personal troubles. I'll write they are actually public issues. And then I will write the major broader social factors causing this public issue. Okay. So suppose suicide. It is personal trouble, but sociological imagination wants me to think it is a public issue. So I will be concerned about rising suicide rate. Now, I should explain the major broader social factors causing rising suicide rate. So if you remember Durkheim, because he is one of the person who is explaining suicide rate to us, he says that suicide rate in modern society is going to be high. He clearly says it. And why did he say that? Because he believed that in modern society, the collective consciousness or the cohesive force is very weak. Why it is weak? Because people do not have faith anymore in religion, so nothing is binding them into a community sentiment. They are individual now. And modern society also celebrates fundamental rights of individuals. That means community sentiment is again getting weakened. Modern society also gives equal rights to women. That means you may see family system also getting weakened because both of them are fighting for their struggle, their chances to improve their lives. And modern society at the same time is also giving us many hopes that you can achieve this, or this only if you have talent. Your religion, caste will not matter. But that also means my desires, which were limited in traditional society, are unlimited now in modern society. And if those desires are not getting fulfilled, I will start questioning myself. In the process, I may even commit suicide. So, my suicide is not my suicide, it is actually murder by society. Okay. So, sociological imagination, Durkheim would clearly say suicide rate is rising because of lower collective consciousness or lower degree of cohesion. And he clearly said, degree of cohesion is inversely proportional to suicide rate. That means more the degree of cohesion in society, lower the suicide rate. That means suicide rate in traditional society was very low because degree of cohesion in traditional society is very high. In modern society, degree of cohesion is very low. Therefore, suicide rate is very high. He also said degree of cohesion varies across social groups. That means your suicide rate also depends on the group that you belong to. If you belong to the group of married people, suicidal tendency would be lower. If you belong to group of bachelor people group, suicide rate tendency would be higher. If you belong to group of believers, religious people, suicide rate tendency would be lower. If you belong to the group of atheist, suicide rate tendency would be higher because you are not believing in anything. Okay, so clearly Durkheim can explain through sociological imagination. He is talking about broader social factors causing suicide rate. I hope you're getting my point. Online students. Can we explain the concept using our own word? Yes, yes. Terms can be yours. Definitely. ओके, टर्म्स तो आपके खुद के हो सकते हैं. मेरा काम तो है बस कि मैं आपको बता दूं डिमांड कैसे मीट करनी है. ओके, लेट अस टॉक अबाउट सेकंड एग्जांपल, डिवोर्स. नाउ अगेन आई शुड नॉट ट्रीट डिवोर्स एज personal matter of few or limited to few. In fact, some feminist scholars also say personal is political. That means nothing is personal. Everything is done by some forces which we need to understand. Now, not going back to those things, but limiting ourselves to this discussion, divorce seems to be personal trouble. It is actually also a public issue. Divorce rates are rising in society, specifically in modern society. It is rising just like suicide rate. Divorce rate are also rising. Okay. So that means we should conduct a sociological inquiry, and we should try to understand the broader social factors causing divorce rate to go up. And we can understand the some of the important broader social factors could be that family size is getting nuclearized. When family sizes were big now, which means when we had joint family, divorce rate was low. But when family size got smaller, more and more nuclear, divorce rate became high. Again, pattern. That means degree of cohesion. When we were in joint family, higher degree of cohesion. That means lower chance of suicide. But in modern society, family size got nuclearized, and therefore, again, chances for divorce went up because social control is missing in nuclear family. There is no elderly generation to pacify the individuals who are going through troublesome period, and that is why they are on their own. They are on their own. Okay. Second, one reason I have mentioned. Second reason could be that with more and more opportunities for both men and women in modern society, both are hopping from one city to another city, one company to another company, because there is ample opportunity. Everybody wants higher and higher success results, and therefore they are changing places, changing companies, because of which there is no stability in family life, because of which they are ultimately choosing to go for divorce. Would you call it their trouble? No. Somehow the broader structural forces are playing out a role in making them go for it. So you can't blame them. You have to study these broader forces जो कि इनको खिला रही है. ये puppets हैं basically. Okay. So I hope you got the second point also. अब मैं last point पे जा सकता हूँ. Okay. Example आपको second भी clear हो गया होगा. You can write many other reasons or explanation. Is this clear to you guys? Yes. Okay. Now third, job loss. If one of my friend is losing job, I may tell him something is wrong with you. You need to upskill yourself. You need to study more. You need to attend some classes, join some coaching, upgrade yourself, something like this. ऐसे कुछ करके बोल सकता हूँ मैं, और क्या ही बोलूँगा, ठीक है? But I will always find trouble in his life, that something is wrong with you. But sociological imagination wants us to understand personal troubles as public issue. So that means I would understand unemployment rate which is going up in modern society. And then I would find out the reasons for the rising unemployment rate. And here Marxian sociology helps me a lot, because Marxian sociology is also studying broad structures and highly concerned about the proletarianization or the pauperization, or the people losing their jobs or falling into reserve army, something like this. But I can definitely use Marxian sociology here. Okay. So if I am doing such kind of analysis, that means that I am treating personal trouble as public issue, trying to find broad structural factors causing these issues in the public life. And this is how I'm going to simply conclude. When it comes to conclusion, what should it be like? Remember, your conclusion should always be a paraphrased version of the question itself. The question was, sociological imagination enables us to consider personal trouble as public issue. What does it imply? So my conclusion would be that with the help of sociological imagination, we can go beyond personal trouble and understand the macro picture which explains individual's life. However, we should also remember that there are some individual intentions also, some reasons also, which are not explained by sociological imagination. For that, we have to understand the intention and meaning of the individuals involved in the trouble. Here comes Weberian sociology. तो बेसिक आपने एक आइडिया रखना है चीजों का. ओके, so this is what conclusion, and this is how the question can be written like. Okay, so I hope you understood how we should structure answer and what can be safely avoided and what should be written upfront. Okay, so that we don't waste our time. And if you follow this pattern, you can safely write in 7 to 8 minutes. It will not take you more than that if you are direct and to the point. But if you start thinking of history, narrative, anecdotes, short stories, quotes, phrase, then it will take a lot of your time and it will not even give you anything in return. Okay. What matters to us is the visibility. Your answer should be highly visible. And it should actually look like answer. It should never look like notes. Okay. So now when it comes to the two questions which I have given to you for homework, one question was, I think, comparison of sociology with other disciplines. Okay. And new era of can anyone repeat what were the questions given to you for practice? Online students? Okay. How do you explain the growing multidisciplinarity in sociology? This was one homework question. I'll only discuss structure. Okay. What should be the structure of such questions? How do you explain growing multidisciplinarity in sociology? Illustrate with examples. So first of all, before we deal with this question, we should know the basic keywords. Same approach. I can see multidisciplinarity as one keyword. And of course, there is no other keyword. I can't call sociology as keyword because वो तो सब्जेक्ट का नाम है, वो तो हमेशा ही रहेगा. ग्रोइंग को तो मैं क्या ही बोलूं, और हाउ डू एक्सप्लेन तो हटाई, तो वो एक्सप्लेन वैसे भी करना है अगर वो ना भी बोले हमें. ओके, सो मल्टीडिसिप्लिनैरिटी इज द ओनली कीवर्ड इन द क्वेश्चन. तो दैट मीन्स आपका तो ये ड्यूटी है कि आप मल्टीडिसिप्लिनैरिटी को तो डिफाइन करो. ओके, सो डिफाइन, ये तो उल्टा साफ हमें बता रहा है डिफाइन करो पहले इसको मिनिमम. मल्टीडिसिप्लिनैरिटी क्या होता है? इट इज बेसिकली an approach to combine two or more than two disciplines to understand the given phenomena comprehensively. यही होता है मल्टीडिसिप्लिनैरिटी. एक अप्रोच टू कंबाइन टू और मोर देन टू डिसिप्लिन्स टू अंडरस्टैंड द गिवन फिनोमेना कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली. इसका मतलब क्या होता है सिंपल लैंग्वेज में? सपोज करो आपको पावर्टी है, पावर्टी उसको एक्सप्लेन करना है. पावर्टी को एक इकोनॉमिस्ट भी एक्सप्लेन कर सकता है, पावर्टी को एक सोशियोलॉजिस्ट भी एक्सप्लेन कर सकता है, ओके। बट कुछ लोग होंगे जो कि दोनों अप्रोचेस को कंबाइन कर देंगे to explain poverty more comprehensively. Instead of having economic explanation or sociological, let us have socio-economic explanation on poverty. That would be called as multidisciplinary approach to study poverty. Now, what could be the meaning of socio-economic approach to study poverty? उसको समझ लेते हैं। क्योंकि ये करके आपको एग्जाम्पल भी एक दे देना चाहिए, ओके, बिकॉज अपने आप में ये सफिशिएंट नहीं है टू अंडरस्टैंड। Socio-economic approach to study poverty would be to understand the poor is not homogeneous group. Poor is not homogeneous group. It consists of women, it consists of Dalit, it consists of tribals, it consists of disabled, it consists of economically weaker upper caste, it also consists of OBCs who are economically backward, OBCs specifically, okay, non-creamy. So that means poor could be a very huge term. It is not a homogeneous group. It consists of multiple sections. But if you start studying those multiple sections, you would come to know that poverty is affecting each section differently. That means poor woman has different issue from poor man. Similarly, poor lower caste is having different issue from poor upper caste. Basically, intersectional approach जिसे हम कह सकते हैं. Intersectional approach. It is also multidisciplinary approach. Okay, that means an approach through which you can understand how the issues of poor women are different from poor man. Okay, poor women के issues थोड़े अलग होंगे. Poor women के issue क्या है कि कहीं ना कहीं her poverty would also impact the upbringing of child, fertility, and also health concerns. Whereas when it comes to poor man, his poverty is not directly having any link to what we call as the child. It is having link to the family per se. But mother जब होती है poor, तो बच्चे का सीधा impact उसके ऊपर पड़ता है. Okay. So poor women की condition is different from poor man. दूसरा आपको ये भी समझना चाहिए कि poor दलित की condition is different from poor upper caste. Because Dalit who is poor is victim of two forces. One is definitely आपका casteism and second is classism. Okay, double oppressed जिसे हम कहते हैं. So socio-economic approach can help us understand that some issues can be understood more comprehensively if you integrate the two disciplines. Otherwise, we will only talk about number of poor and what is the poverty line. That will not be giving us more comprehensive reality of quality of the number of poor. Okay. So this is what we call as multidisciplinarity. Now, if I go back to question, the demand was how do you explain growing multidisciplinarity in sociology? That means you just have to explain multidisciplinarity in sociology through such examples only. And you can take any example, not just poverty. You can talk about environmental issues. You can talk about globalization. You can talk about globalization and its impact on family system. I mean, you can talk about multiple things and introduce 2-3 disciplines. Okay. You can talk about what we call as income inequality. How you can study income inequality by combining 2-3 disciplines. Basic points. You don't have to do PhD. मतलब basic points income inequality पे. एक इकोनॉमिस्ट के लिए इनकम इनइक्वालिटी क्या होगा, क्लास इनइक्वालिटी बेसिक, ओके. बट एक सोशो इकोनॉमिक sociologists would also inquire the broad social factors causing income inequality. Caste could be one factor. Gender is also one factor causing income inequality between men and women, gender wage gap. Recently, this lady got Nobel Prize, Claudia Golden. She is also doing intersectional, multidisciplinarity approach only, right? She is not just studying the reason for, she's not just studying the number of women out of labor market, she's also studying the broad social forces responsible for women to be out of the labor market. Okay, so when you combine the two, you get multidisciplinary approach, and that is actually growing in the contemporary times. That is why we talk about branches like subheading. I'll tell you what should be the subheading, how it is growing. You can talk about environmental sociology. You can talk about gender studies, like impact of gender or impact of labor market on gender. तो दो चीजें कंबाइन कर रहे हो आप, ओके, जो क्लॉडिया गोल्डन ने किया. नेक्स्ट, यू कैन ऑल्सो डू what we call as political sociology. That means caste and politics दोनों को स्टडी करना एक साथ. Impact of caste on politics, not just studying political party but also studying role of caste in political party. This is also multidisciplinarity. Okay, तो आपने ऐसे से करना है. I guess आप easily कर लोगे. Now next question was, describe the changing scope of sociology in the era of globalization. तो इसमें क्या करना है आपको? 10 मार्क्स का ये भी. Describe changing scope of sociology in the era of globalization. Okay, इसका मतलब आपको क्या बताना है? Remember one thing very well. Just because scope is mentioned does not mean that you start thinking of synthetic and formalist. देखो, ये चीज समझने के लिए ना आपको इतनी बार पढ़ पढ़ के मैच्योर होना पड़ जाएगा कि आप वर्ड देखकर फेंकते नहीं हो. मतलब ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए स्कोप वर्ड हमारे सिलेबस में जहां लिखा था वहां सिंथेटिक और फॉर्मुलिस्ट था तो सिंथेटिक फॉर्मुलिस्ट पहले लिख देते. नहीं, जो कनेक्शन उसका नहीं है. यहाँ तो सिंपली ये इंग्लिश की बात है. इट इज नॉट सोशियोलॉजी. ये तो इंग्लिश नॉर्मली जैसे हम बोलते हैं स्कोप बदल गया अब चीजों का. तो ये नहीं कि अब स्कोप बदल गया मतलब सिंथेटिक फॉर्मूले से शुरू करें ना. चेंजिंग स्कोप ऑफ सोशियोलॉजी इन एरा ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन का मतलब ये होता है कि नाउ यू हैव टू डिस्क्राइब हाउ सोशियोलॉजी हैज एक्सपेंडेड and what new areas sociology is studying due to globalization. And what are those new areas? Very simple. First, you just need to explain the impact of globalization on different institutions. Once you have written the impact, you will automatically show the new areas which are coming out as a result of the impact of globalization. And that is becoming the subject matter of sociology now. That means impact of globalization should be studied first. Impact of globalization on nations, impact of globalization on religion, impact of globalization on family. जो आपका जीएस में नहीं है, GS1 में भी आपके ऐसी सिलेबस लिखा हुआ है, इम्पैक्ट ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन ऑन ये है ना. इम्पैक्ट ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन ऑन आपका क्या कहते हैं इकोनॉमी. अगर आपने ये चार बता दिया, बेसिक वेरी बेसिक, whatever be the consequences that is ultimately becoming the new scope of sociology. ओके वही आपको करना था. तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन का इम्पैक्ट नेशन पे स्टडी करने के कई स्कॉलर्स हैं. कुछ बोलते हैं नेशन स्टेट्स आर लूजिंग देयर रेलेवेंस, दे हैव बिकम पपेट्स ऑफ द मल्टीलैटरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस. दूसरे लोग बोलते हैं नहीं नहीं ऐसा नहीं है, नेशन स्टेट्स स्टिल हैव देयर ऑटोनॉमी, रादर नेशन स्टेट्स आर बिकमिंग very powerful. Specifically, the erstwhile colonized nation states are becoming very powerful. They are becoming growing market economies nowadays. So they are deciding multilateral organizations का forum discussion. It is not vice versa. तो यानी दो strands आप सीधा लिख दोगे, ये दो strands यहाँ आपस में बहस करते हैं. This is the new scope. Okay. Globalization का impact on religion. Some people used to believe earlier that the world will get secularized, religion will lose its relevance. But what is happening is that with globalization, religion is also becoming global. Okay. What was once practiced at one place is now being practiced globally. आप देखो इस्कॉन को, ईशा फाउंडेशन को, पतंजलि को, ये ग्लोबल गुरुज बन रखे हैं इस टाइम पे. ओके तो आप बता सकते हो कैसे religion which was hyper local has now become global religion. Okay. And how it connects everyone from different nation states. It is coming out as a new source of cohesion, uniting people from different nation states. This kind of analysis has become new scope for sociologists to study. Okay. फैमिली सिस्टम में चेंजेस आप बता सकते हो. कुछ बोलते हैं ग्लोबलाइजेशन की वजह से लिव इन रिलेशनशिप आ गया है. कुछ बोलते हैं ये वेस्टर्न ग्लोबल सिविलाइजेशन के चक्करों में हम ये होमोसेक्सुअल्स की बातें करने लग गए हैं जो कल हुआ. ओके सो होमोसेक्सुअलिटी कैसे आ रही, न्यू फॉर्म्स ऑफ फैमिली आ रही है होमोसेक्सुअलिटी की वजह से. द फैमिली वी चूज. यू कैन एक्चुअली एक्सप्लेन हाउ ग्लोबलाइजेशन इज इन्फ्लुएंसिंग everything, and that whatever effect is taking place is automatically become subject matter of sociology. Sociologists are debating what is happening, whether this change is happening or this change is happening, but change is definitely happening. खत्म. ठीक है. So I hope things are clear to you. I wish you all the very best for your day 2 test. Day 2 में हमने कुछ क्वेश्चन दिए हैं जो कि आपके थिंकिंग प्रोसेस को चेक करेंगे, आपके नोट्स को नहीं. My target would always be to ensure that I am making you think before you write. Okay, and not writing just because you remember. Okay, unless we do the first, we can't grow, we can't evolve, we can't progress. तो हमको उसको टारगेट करना है. Okay, so I'll see you guys tomorrow